Hello children, welcome to the online classes. Just before starting the lesson, I'll take you to Pinky's house. In Pinky's house, her mom, her dad, her brother, sister and she live together. In their family, father is too tall and mother is short. And her sister is dark and Pinky is fair. Her brother is fat. See, in the members of five, in the members of the family, 5-member family, there are differences. One is tall, one is short, one is thin, one is a bit fat, one is dark, one is fair. Differences are there. In the similar manner, in our surroundings also, there are a lot of differences if you observe the living organisms. Some are too tall, some are very huge, some are very small. From bacteria to blue whale, lot of variations are there. So many differences, maybe of size, color, shape, the place they live in. Based on all these, there are lot of differences. All these differences, we can call them as diversity. What is it called? Diversity. The diversity means variations, presence of variations, differences. If these differences exist in living organisms, we refer it as biodiversity. Biodiversity. Biodiversity means the presence of differences in living organisms. So, if there are these many differences are there in living organisms, it's not easy to study about them. Suppose you go to a library, different books are there. If they are put together in a rank, can you take a book what you want to read? It becomes very difficult for us to sort out. So, the librarian arranges them in a systematic way in separate racks. So, coming to the living organisms, if these organisms are living together with these many differences or similarities, it is not that easy to study about them for biologists. So, what they did was they started separating them based on their differences and similarities. Actually, so many biologists tried to put them into different groups, tried to classify them into different groups. Some scientists, they took into consideration the way of evolution, how they evolved from primitive to advanced. Here I have to say you what is a primitive organism, what is an advanced organism. Primitive organism means the organism that existed in the beginning of the life. From the beginning of the life, some organisms slowly they evolved. After that, they modified themselves according to the environment, according to the habitat they live. Isn't it? For example, you take Wapansha, it adapted to live in the desert by modifying its leaves into spines. Isn't it? Those are the modifications that the organisms adapted to survive successfully in that particular habitat. So, these modifications led to an advanced organism. Advanced organism means the organism that can withstand all these environmental conditions and the changes around it. That is the advanced one. The most primitive one, it was not able to survive in that environment. So it started developing some modifications. It started adapting itself and became an advanced one, isn't it? So they took into consideration the evolution as the basis for classification. Some scientists said, though it is evolution is okay, but there are differences in the genetic code. So genetic structure they took into consideration. Some took into consideration the chemical structure of the organic matter in their body. Some took into consideration the number of chambers in the heart or skeletal system, different classifications. But all the classifications faded out just because they were not accepted throughout the world. Across the world, all the biologists should accept the classification. Though, so all these classifications were not accepted all around the world. So finally, Whittaker, a scientist called Whittaker, he classified the organisms. His classification was accepted by every biologist across the world. Why it was accepted? Why all the other classifications were not accepted? Why only Whittaker's classification is accepted? Till today, we are following Whittaker's classification. In your textbook also, Whittaker classification only is given. Why it is accepted and why not the others? We have to see. Here, Whittaker took into consideration the cell as the basic unit for classifying the organisms. You all know very well that cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. That too, every organism starts its life with a single cell. That is why, as he took the cell as the basic basis for his classification, and the presence of RNA and DNA, all these, his classification is accepted. According to his classification, all the living organisms are divided into 5 kingdoms. Mainly 5 kingdoms. What are they? Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae, Animalia. Okay. So he divided all the organisms into 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Who divided? Whittaker. Why Whittaker's classification is accepted? Because he took the cell as the basis for his classification. So meanwhile, another biologist, Carolus van Linnaeus, he introduced nomenclature. Every organism should be given name, he specified. How to give a name? So based on the classification and based on their species, they divided them into different categories, and they named them. Two words are given for each organism. 2 words. A scientific name includes 2 words for every organism. That was the naming process given by Carolus Linnaeus. That is why he is considered as the father of taxonomy. Linnaeus is considered as the father of taxonomy. Taxonomy is nothing but classification and naming of organisms. According to Linnaeus, he proposed to give 2 words for each organism. One word includes genus. The first word refers the genus, and the second word refers to the species. Yes? Genus, species. Genetic name, specific name. This genetic name means the organisms that have certain similarities, they come under one genus. Though they belong to the same genus, for example, Homo sapien. You take Homo sapien. Homo is the genus in which monkey, ape, chimpanzee, human being, all are included because their basic structure is similar. But the thing is, in this genus, the organisms present in this genus, they cannot interbreed with each other. A human being cannot interbreed with a chimpanzee. They cannot produce young ones. A chimpanzee cannot interbreed with an ape. Both of them, a male ape and a female chimpanzee, if you take, they cannot produce a young one. They cannot interbreed. That is why they are kept only under genus but not in the species. Under species sapien, all of us are sapiens. All the human beings are sapiens. Sapiens means in this group, all the organisms can interbreed with each other. They can produce an young one. That's the difference between genus and species. So, here genus name is Homo, species name is Sapien. Two words are given for each organism. Like this. This is binomial nomenclature. As two words are given for each organism, that is called binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. Nomenclature means నామకరణం. నామకరణం చేస్తారు కదా, మనకు కూడా బారసాలు చేసి నామకరణం చేస్తారు. ఏదో ఒక పేరు పెడతారు. ఆ పేరు పెట్టడాన్ని నామకరణం. అలానే ఈ లివింగ్ ఆర్గానిజమ్స్, ఆల్ ద లివింగ్ ఆర్గానిజమ్స్ given names according to Linnaeus, one genus name and the specific name. Genus name means the organisms that have the similarities in basic structure but they cannot interbreed with each other. Species means the organisms have similarities and maybe differences male and female, only that difference is there, but all the organisms in this species, male and female, can interbreed and produce an young one. That's the difference. For example, you take Panthera tigris. Panthera tigris. Panthera is generic name and species name is tigris. Tiger. Its common name is tiger. Indian tiger. Panthera tigris. So, in this Panthera, cat is there, leopard, cheetah, tiger, all these are there. But a tiger cannot interbreed with a cheetah. A cat cannot interbreed with a tiger. Like the differences are there. They belong to the same genus, but they cannot interbreed. Tigris, all the tigers, they can interbreed. A male can interbreed with a female. They can produce an young one. So that's the difference between genus and species. Panthera tigris is the scientific name of tiger. Pavocristatus, it is the scientific name of a peacock. Hibiscus rosa sinensis, it is the scientific name of China rose, shoe flower, mandara. Rosa indica, rose plant. Cajanus indicus, red gram, kandulu. Ajadracta indica, neem tree. The scientific name of neem tree is Ajadracta indica. Like the different Felis domestica, dog, cat, every organism has its own scientific name. Each scientific name has two words. One is generic name, the other one is specific name. Generic name starts with the capital letter, specific name starts with a small letter. Always it should be written with a capital letter, starting letter should be a capital letter, specific name should be written with a small letter. That's the peculiarity. So this type of nomenclature was introduced by Carolus Linnaeus. That is why he is called the father of taxonomy. Taxonomy is nothing but the branch of science dealing with the classification and nomenclature of living organisms. So there is a lot of diversity, I said. So the biologists started classifying them based on different aspects they considered, but finally Whittaker's classification was accepted throughout the world because he took the cell as the basis for his classification. According to Whittaker classification, all the living organisms are divided into Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae and Animalia. So about these particular kingdoms you can learn in the next session. So for today you have to learn this. What is diversity? Diversity is the presence of differences, variations, maybe in non-living or in living. As it is, as our lesson is in the diversity in living organisms, the lesson name is biodiversity. Biodiversity means variations in the living organisms. As there are variations, they are classified, isn't it? Next, according to What is the purpose of classifying these organisms? Is there any purpose for classifying these organisms? Yes, there is a purpose. What is the purpose of classifying these organisms? If the organisms are classified in such a way, it becomes very easy for the biologists to study about them. They can understand the geographical distribution of these organisms. Some organisms are confined to a particular area. For example, kangaroo is restricted to or confined to only Australian continent. Only there we can see kangaroos. Kiwis we can see in New Zealand. Endemic species, these are endemic. They are restricted to that particular area. About these in detail you can learn in the next session. So, hope you understood children. Read the lesson, you can understand very easily.